and your organization. We'll start with you, Mr. Deepak.
Good afternoon, all. I am Deepak Arora. I am a group head of tax with FarEye Technologies. Our company is a logistic software company. Our software helps in the big companies like IKEA in their delivery planning. So it's a totally service industry wherein our software helps the companies in their last mile delivery. As a company, we have India headquarter with 6 subsidiaries across globe. So, I mean, from a tax point of view, we have a lot of compliances to be done at our end.
Thank you. Mr. Vipul.
Yeah. Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I am Vipul Mittal. I am heading the indirect tax function for DCM Shriram Limited. So our company is a diversified Indian conglomerate having multiple businesses like chemical, sugar, fertilizer, seed. So there are a host of businesses, cement, power. So it's a very diversified group, and that's where it offers diversified challenges. And it's great learning for me personally to handle so many businesses and work with so many businesses. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Coming back to the topic for this discussion, I'd like to start with talking about data a little bit. You know, today data is no longer just a piece of information. It's how the markets are operating. It's used in how the businesses are led, how the economies are running, right? And one such example is UPI in the recent past, of course, along with all the other great inventions that we've been seeing. But beyond these collections, the real story is behind the data in tax numbers, you know, who is paying, where the value is being generated, how is it helping the economy, how are digital platforms being used to monitor compliance and policies. There also have been recent episodes where we've seen sensitive data being leaked. Now, we'll not, of course, we'll not name the reports, but 135 million taxpayers had to bear the cost of that. Just an opening question to both of you. The topic for this discussion is tax data as the new currency. What do you think about this? What are your views on this? We'll start with you, Mr. Vipul.
So I think as far as the indirect tax is concerned, the entire, so like sir mentioned, Mr. Principal Commissioner of Customs. So our domain is a transactional tax. The tax is on every single transaction, be it GST or be it customs. So our data has to be 100% accurate. We cannot have any such instance that the data which we are pushing to the government on a real-time basis has any kind of inconsistency. So the transactional level data, master data, everything has to be pitch perfect. Otherwise, the amount of technology the government is using today or maybe tomorrow, you will get the notices, right? There are system generated notices, DRC01C and B or maybe. There are multiple notices which are system generated, which are coming on a real-time basis without any intervention from the tax officers. And many times they're even clueless that this notice is sent from my ID or my range has sent this notice when we reach out to them. So yeah, it's a very, very important facet of the tax function now that the data should be controlled, especially the masters, your HSN master, your vendor customer master. Every master has to be sanitized and perfect so that you don't land up in unnecessary trouble. Yeah.
Thank you. Mr. Deepak, your views on this?
So let me tell you, like when I started my career, it was an oil company. So we used to say oil is a black gold. It gets changed now, data is the gold. So see, we ourselves is our data nowadays. We have our own Aadhaar number. So data is getting created with every of your transaction, and trail is getting generated in each and every of transaction. Now, let me tell you, like if we go 20 years back, the returns used to be very simple. The ITR return comes, the form used to say it's Saral form. Now the tax returns have evolved. I mean, they are asking for so many data. Similarly, see the earlier service tax return and the VAT return and the current, the GST return which we have. I mean, I was just checking for an e-invoice, there are 138 data which you can put in, out of which 30 are compulsory. Now just imagine 138. So that many type of data is getting generated just by a single e-invoice which we are preparing. So, I mean, as a company, first we should know that the data what we have only our data with us, whereas the government have the data of my customer as well as of my vendor. So they have more data by which they can get to know what my data is saying to them. So, I mean, as a company or business, what we should do is we should be very much aligned, and we should have data in such a manner that our tax function is performing well under the law. We are not doing anything wrong, or, I mean, you should be aware of the latest tax laws. Whereas the government, in case if you miss out anything, government is there to catch hold of you.
Adding to that, Mr. Deepak, when you talk about data ownership, how important is data lineage and ownership across functions? Now, who should own the data in organization? Is it the tax team? Is it the finance team? Is it the business team? How do they collaborate? What are your views on that?
See, now data ownership and lineage are the new two terms which have come into picture. But then ultimately, first thing which we all need to understand is that tax cannot work in silos. Similarly, tax data also doesn't belong to tax team. So, I mean, if I have to file a return, let's say GST or 3B, there are some of the data which will come through O2C team. There are some of the data which will come from P2P team. Now, for a tax lineage, a data lineage, what we need to understand is lineage means how the data is getting transported in your system. Like my P2P team is booking the invoices in the ERP system. Now, how this data should flow so that the data comes into my GSTR 3B as my purchase register. So now the system is like such that we cannot have only tax team to be the owner of the tax data. So data ownership has to be divided. Like master of like tax rates or HSN rate. The tax team can help the P2P team and O2C team, but ultimately that data attribute belongs to them. So tax as a function has evolved a lot. It is not a simple return which you used to file. Now tax team is depending on so many data which comes through many teams. So as a company, all of us should think that we have to work in collaboration. Then only we can prepare a data in such a manner which will help us not only in filing the return, but also because the tax team is the only team which is subject to scrutiny by the tax department. So this is what I used to tell to my all CFOs, so that the other teams have to just face the statutory audit and internal audit, but we have a outside stakeholder as well. So if we have this data lineage and ownership, then only we can be in a position to defend ourselves.
Right.
Thank you.
Mr. Vipul, do you have something to add to that?
Yeah, definitely. So I think I would break this into two parts. Okay. One is putting controls, right? That is the most important aspect. When you're maintaining any kind of master or transactional data, tax team has to be front-ending that thing, that what controls are required from a tax perspective, work with the business team, work with the accounts team, act as a business enabler, understand their requirement, that what is practically possible, what is not practically possible, and how that data will flow. Once that SOP is defined, that the data is defined, that how the data has to be maintained at transactional level and the master level, then maintaining that data is generally the responsibility of accounts team and the business teams who are day-to-day doing those transactions, because tax team is not creating those transactions, they are merely reporting those transactions. So at least from our company standpoint, we have that clarity that wherever there's a change happening in the master data from a regulatory perspective, tax team has to front-end that thing and make sure those changes and controls are put in the system. And from there, the business team and the accounts team takes it forward.
Okay. Well, do you think data integrity is more of a technology problem? Is it a technology challenge or more of a process and people challenge?
I think it's both. So one, we have to see we are still human, right? There will be some human errors which people will make, and that kind of error, like we also see, since it's a transactional tax, again I'm mentioning it, that on a small transaction, if I commit a mistake, even if the value is low, the amount of time I spend to debug that and take a corrective action is much, much higher because we have so many system controls in place, right? So it can be a human problem, but that is still controllable. My major problem is that if the controls we have put are lacking or not proper, that may result into a disastrous situation at a later point in time, wherein you'll realize that this is something which was supposed to be monitored earlier and which was not monitored. Like in GST, if you're facing an inquiry from a central agency like DGGI or DRI, and if you have a pan India registration, that inquiry might generally spend for over 5 years in 25, 30 odd jurisdictions. So just combine that 30 odd into 5 is 150 locations, 150 tax periods, 150 years data you're giving to the government, and they want that data at a click of a button. Means they'll just give you 5 days, 7 days. You know how these agencies work. So all these controls should be in place beforehand so that you get the data as quickly as possible, which gives comfort to the authorities that you have good amount of controls in place. In many of the inquiries, I've seen that when you are quickly able to respond with clear data, they understand that yes, the company has controls in place. There might be few small misses, but there will not be an evasion kind of case. So that gives a lot of confidence and trust which you build with the tax authorities, which helps you get over the notices very, very easily. Yeah.
Right. Mr. Deepak, you want to add something to that? What are some of the challenges that you are seeing in maintaining data integrity?
Oh, I concur the view of the other speaker. See, tax department is meeting with the client, I mean, their customers on and off. We are not meeting the tax department on and off. So they know by the data which we provide whether they can trust the data or not. So as a business, we should be having such a kind of framework in our organization that we can provide the data in the given time framework. In case if we ask again and again the adjournment, the trust which you create, that gets shuffled. So I mean, as we say, well begun is half done. So your you win the battle if you provide the data in a timely manner and in a trustable manner. So your data speaks for itself.
Right. So how can you collaborate with CIOs or let's say compliance heads to ensure this kind of security and also that there are no lapses in this?
So see, now tax team or tax head have to, is not only, I mean, that we need to read the law and interpret the law or file the return. We are a collaborator with CIOs to tell them and to make the changes in the system and architecture so that the team which is entering the data, like I'll say the two teams which creates the tax data is AP team and the sales team. So the invoices which we are getting from our customers and the invoices which we are raising, that's all. That starts with the tax data which gets prepared. Now to the CIOs, the kind of information and the changes in the architecture should be such that the data in each and every transaction gets auto-filled and all the attributes which are necessaries should be filled at the time of first entry itself. See, I'll give an example. Recently, my procurement team books an invoice. There was an party from which we were purchasing some services. Just in between the party was an LLP, gets converted into a private limited company. That change we get to know at the time of filing of the TDS return, which comes after a quarter. Now, since the P2P team doesn't get to know that the person have shifted its from LLP to a company, they book the invoice, they book the invoice as well and they charge the GST rate. Whereas we get to know after a month. But then in case if we would have brought some changes that the team gets to know this change at the time of filing, booking the invoice itself. So these changes, we need to, I mean, as a tax team, all the changes, because we need to read the law, we need to know what are the changes we need to brought in. And for indirect tax teams, I mean, this is the role which you have to do every bi-month or quarter. Every GST council meeting, you should be knowing what are the changes they have brought in.
Speaking about artificial intelligence, in the last panel, speakers was speaking about this, and that AI is not just Chat GPT anymore. It's much more than that. We see predictive modeling. We see different kind of models that are coming up. So, Mr. Vipul, how is AI and predictive modeling helping? And is being applied meaningfully in the Indian tax functions? And where do you see the genuine potential here?
So, personally, I'm not very highly upbeat about AI. And let me sound negative for this thing. And here are the reasons. I have a digital first approach that's given, and any tax leader should have that digital first approach. But one, we should step back and see that what is the requirement. Whether I need AI for that, or whether I need RPA for that, or whether it can be done through any other software where I can predict 100% accuracy. Because from a tax function, my biggest concern is 100% accuracy. I cannot go below 100% in any case. Okay. With AI, at least I am unsure of the outcomes. Like what we are using AI for. I am having AI agent for HSN classification. My tax policies can be read through AI. And then we are investing heavily on agentic AI. Myself, I am creating multiple AIs agents for myself, for my team, and my teams are creating for businesses. So one need to see that which AI agent you want to publish to a larger audience, means which is a low risk kind of AI agent, which is a good to know. Like if you're using AI for creating trainings, right? You want to create educational videos for TDS, you want to create educational videos for GST, you can use, there are multiple software, Hagen, there are multiple softwares which can be used so that your time spent on regular updates goes down, right? We do regular updates as a tax professional for the business team. So whenever somebody comes on board, they just watch that video, which is customized to your particular business. Then that helps reducing your time. So you need to see that which particular thing you want to automate and use AI for that. And if at all there are other powerful tools which are available, then we better use those kind of tools. Like predictive modeling, it's very good to hear that. But whenever a number work comes, I have at least seen AI hallucinating a lot and not giving correct output. We have tried to consolidate multiple data sets through AI. It has not worked, at least for us. You need to have properly written Python code behind AI so that it works and gives you 100% arithmetical correct output, right? So one needs to see that which AI tool or which other automation tool will serve your requirement. So zero in on your requirement, find out what outcome you want, and then hunt for a tool whether you actually need an AI for that or it can be done through any other software. There are good amount of tools available for generative AIs which can help you draft replies, read large judgments and summarize those judgments, summarize large contracts, look at your number of so like we have multiple use cases. Like there are large amount of contracts sitting in a database, no human can read it. So we have an AI agent sitting on top of those contracts, and based on the query mode, users can get the information out that in this agreement, what is this terms were agreed, what are the pricing term, what are the tax terms. So find out your use cases, and there are ample of other tools apart from AI which are available in the market which can really means automate your function. But without technology, you cannot survive in tax domain at all. That's one bottom line which is given.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Arora, would you like to add something to that? Where do you see the potential, and also what are some risks that come along?
See, I beg to differ with the Mittal, but frankly, it depends on the size of the company. Now, in case if for in our case, I have single GST number, so we are not using AI that much. Frankly, some of the AIs which we are using is of the third-party tools which we are using. We are not generating for ourselves. But in my previous organization, I had 28 registration. When I left, we were not using AI because it was 3 years, 4 years back. Now, with the kind of AI which has come, my previous organization is using AI for this HSN classification. When the vendor is getting onboarded. So it depends on the size of the company. It depends on what kind of business you are into. Like for a service company, we have a single GST rate. But in case of a company which have 200, 500 items in which they are dealing. They need to get updated. So my view is, see, ultimately, you need to understand the department is also using AI. The kind of notices which you see, you'll get to know this is not prepared by a human, it is a system generated notices. So, I mean, if you're the ultimately from whom I have to take that buyout, that whatever I have done is the right or not, we have to get it from the government. So, in case if I have so many registration, I have lot many notices to be responded at the right time, I need to use AI.
Quickly, Mr. Arora, does high quality data actually reduce the risk of disputes? I'd like to know both of your views on this.
Come again?
Does high quality data actually reduce the risk of disputes?
Yes. See, if you have a high quality data, first, to get most of the organization does not have the high quality data initially. You have to invest lot many months and years to come to such a position that your system generates that high quality data. Now, what is the benefit of having that high quality data is that you don't spend your time in replying to the notices. See, ultimately, what we have seen in the past is, uh, I'll tell you, I have joined a company in 2022. I have received a notice of 27, 18, 19. Now the data was in a mess. I don't have the data also. I don't have the Excel of GSTR 1 and 3B. I have only PDF. So how can I respond? So these kind of a situation which you face when you join a new company. So bringing that culture into that organization itself is a very tedious task. So you have to bring that change to the organization. But once you get that change and your data becomes into a good data, that will be an asset to you. Ultimately, you need to understand your team is not going to be there with you for long, whether it's tax head or assistant manager or manager tax. So you should maintain your data in such a manner that your successor should be in a position that he or she should understand what has happened at that point of time.
Right. Mr. Vipul.
So, at least in not only in the indirect tax space, data is very critical. Like I mentioned earlier, almost 95% of the notices which people are getting are system generated and are solely based on data. So if you understand the patterns that what government is looking at, and you put that thing properly and you define that thing into your data language, that this is how the data should flow, then there are good amount of chances that you will avoid those kind of unnecessary notices. So that's where when you're defining the data strategy, that what kind of data I need, you also involve, if you have a separate litigation team who's handling those litigation on a day-to-day basis, understand from them that what kind of notices you're getting and what are the trigger points or what are the root causes for those notices. Just try to cover those things up properly so that you're not adding unnecessary trouble, right? So yeah, that's a short point I would.
Thank you. Our time is up, but I'd like you to sum up. So we're nearing the end of 2025. What is one trend in the tax industry, in the data industry that you see upcoming in 2026, Mr. Deepak?
See, I'll tell you, there is a news channel, what we say, WI1, World is One Network. This is going to be a reality. In 2020, I remember 2020 budget. They were saying that the government comes up with this, that they will align PAN with Aadhaar. So Aadhaar is going to be your new number for individual. Similarly, your PAN and GST number is going to be your one factor by which everything will get to, the government will get to know. So, changes are, the only thing which I am expecting from the government is ultimately is that from indirect tax point of view, if we can have single rate of tax, which will reduce the litigation a lot and which will make our life easier. Similarly, I am foreseeing that by the end of this government tenure, 2029, the new tax regime will be the only regime in this country. And then ultimately, we should also think of that in coming future from 25% rate of tax, the tax rate should get reduced.
Thank you, Mr. Vipul.
Now, one trend which I see is that government is relying heavily on the data which they're getting from multiple sources, be it MCA, be it customs, and not even tax data. They're getting data from multiple other sources, right? So one area which has to be looked at is consistency. Your reporting should be consistent across all the platforms. Even if you're reporting to income tax authorities, you're on the transfer pricing front, similar thing you're reporting to the customs on the SVB side. So all those things should be consistent and there should not be any kind of deviation. So you can't work in silos. So that is one thing. Data consistency in reporting is very, very critical, because if the government is using AI and they are able to link the data from multiple sources and issue notices, then it is very, very important for us that we leverage technology and understand how the government is looking at data and give the right information, right? So that is very, very critical.
Thank you. Thank you to both of you. Thank you. It was a very insightful session. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.